Hi, everybody. Welcome back to What We're Watching, a podcast to keep your eye on. My name is Reese Potter,
And I'm Ava Potter.
and we are, of course, your lovely hosts, as always. So, today we are coming at you with quite the fun episode. I feel like I say that every single week. That's just because we pick and choose things that we like to talk about. Obviously, it's our podcast. Who's gonna
Duh.
blame us? But this week we have something that I think if you are a film person, if you are involved in the movie world whatsoever, like this was definitely, I would say, one of the most anticipated films of 2026. Like this one, I think everybody had on their radar. It had been talked about like in the last couple of years that like maybe it was coming, but I feel like until probably the last quarter or the last third of last year, nobody had really like heard anything of it. It was just like whispers of like this amazing, crazy, like huge film is coming, and everybody was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, what?" Like,
And there's gonna be everybody that we know in it. Like
right when that cast list dropped, everybody was like,
it's either gonna be really, really good or really, really bad.
right, like everybody knew that something crazy was about to happen. So, to nobody's surprise, Christopher Nolan did it again.
Mm.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about The Odyssey. The Odyssey just came out last weekend, um, directed by none other than Christopher Nolan. And if you know Ava and I, you know we love Christopher Nolan. Specifically, we're like the biggest interstellar buffs like y'all have ever met in your life. But I I just think that Christopher Nolan is one of the greatest filmmakers that we have. He constantly is like pushing the limits on what people think can be done and can't be done with film.
Hmm.
And what did he do? He chose to tackle one of the most beloved classic books, classic epics that and turned it into this amazing masterpiece of a film. I think
Hmm.
that when you tackle something like a a like I said, a beloved classic like The Odyssey, it puts a lot of pressure on the filmmaker to do it justice. You know, something
Hmm.
that has such a deep following and such
Yes.
has been analyzed and read front to back to front and each page broken down and each story broken down and has had so much analysis and research done about it. You are putting like the weight of a literary world on your back.
Hmm.
And we see where that fails with Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, we had an episode about Wuthering Heights. If you didn't listen to it, definitely go check it out. Um, but you know, it's one of those things where if you choose to take on adapting a book that has such a huge following and has been analyzed in the literary world for years,
Hmm.
you have to be able to step up to the plate and,
Hmm.
like off topic, but they just announced that they're doing the bell jar,
Oh,
that they're adapting the bell jar. And
I
have you
didn't know
heard
that.
this? Have
Mm-mm.
you heard who the rumors are of the two main cast? Y'all know I love him, but Connor Story and Billie Eilish is who is rumored to be casted.
Wait, yes, I did hear about this.
I am extremely skeptical. I I have no opinions. I have no opinions until it comes out. I know that Connor is a phenomenal actor. Has Billy done any acting?
I have no idea.
In like that one TV show on Amazon Prime that's called Swarm, I think she was in. But like I you know, I'm gonna go into it with a clean slate. But yeah, I'm like the
Open
bell jar.
mind.
You're tackling the bell jar with people who are like pretty well new to the acting scene.
Hmm.
Hey, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, Christopher Nolan knew when he tackled this, he had to pick the best of the best. Like this lineup of actors is absolutely insane. Like
I will
he,
say, I feel like a fault that he did have casting wise was not casting people of Greek descent and stuff like that, because I know that was a big problem. A lot of people didn't like how that wasn't, I don't want to say historically accurate because this is fiction. Like none of this ever actually happened, but it's a story that is beloved by people from Greece and from that area that do know this story. So seeing people that aren't of Greek descent, I feel like it was hard as an audience. A lot of people were
right,
upset about that.
there definitely could have been a little bit more representation in there for sure. I think that if you're making those decisions, you can actively make the decision to choose people or to seek out people who have that. But I don't think that if we're basing it off of the story itself or like how the performances were done, I don't think it affects the way the story was told. It just would have been better to see a little bit more representation, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think that it would have been totally cool for them to have more Greek descent in there, but I don't think that it made it a bad movie because there wasn't.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely insane. This film became the highest grossing opening weekend globally for a Nolan film, which is literally
crazy.
crazy. I mean, it in one the first weekend, it became the highest grossing opening weekend. And you have to think of like all of Nolan's films. I mean, we're talking Oppenheimer, which like
Hmm.
y'all know how Oppenheimer was. It beat Oppenheimer, Interstellar, Inception, it beat out all of the Dark Knight films. Like Nolan has a stacked filmography, and
It's a
that's
huge
like
one.
when you see it break a record like that, you're like it must have been a big deal, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But yeah, this film was literally 3 hours long. And
And
I
worth
don't,
every single second.
oh, right. I didn't really think that I knew going into it that it was gonna be 3 hours. Like, I knew the story of Odysseus. Like, I had read the Odyssey in high school. Obviously, I probably didn't pay that much
I
attention.
didn't.
I
I
don't think I
didn't.
paid that much attention to it. But when this was coming out, I was doing research and like reading some synopsises, so I didn't go into this too blindly. But I was like, there's no way that they put all of this into the film. Like there's going to
Hmm.
be something they cut. That's how it normally is. And I know that like deep true like the Odyssey like lovers will point out there's like a few things that they did cut or a few things that they like morphed together. Uh, but like Calypso and her island is separate from the Lotus Eaters, but they kind of like morph that into one. But I mean, if you want to see the Lotus Eaters, just go check out Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Y'all know what I'm saying? Shout out Logan Lerman. He just got married. R.I.P. um. Anyway, sorry.
See, but I'm on the opposite end. I didn't read in high school. I don't think it was ever a book that we had to read. So I only know very minimal of like Greek gods and everything like that. Like I love Hercules. I love that movie. But like
Hercules.
that
What
doesn't
you
touch
mean
on
Hercules?
Hercules. And then like I read like a couple like just like random books about like Hades and Persephone and stuff like that. So I know a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Wait for me. I'm coming.
So I
Wait.
knew a little bit, but I didn't know actually what the Odyssey was or what the story really was. So I kind of went in blind. And I don't think I've ever followed along so well with the movie before and actually stayed locked in and understood what was happening
Right.
throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, especially like those types of films, like historical films, because I thought the same thing. And that's why I tried to do a lot of research because I was worried that I was going to go into it and it was going to be like confusing and jumpy and like the talk, like how, the ancient way that they speak. I was like, that's gonna be confusing because the first time I watched the what I guess can be like somewhat compared to like the time period is the first time I watched Gladiator. The first one, I had a really hard time paying attention to what was going on because of all of that, because it was very much action filled, jumping back and forth. I didn't really understand the dynamics. And so I felt the same way where I was like, I was worried that I wasn't gonna be able to follow along. But I will admit, like it really like painted a great picture. And I feel like the timeline, the way that it set stuff up, the way that
Mhm.
it like created it was a little bit of back and forth. You know, you go from like Calypso and Odysseus on their island to like all of these events that were going on. Like I think that it lined everything up perfectly, even while jumping timeline to timeline, you know?
And I think that's why people were so hesitant to give it its flowers online or just like upset about it because it jumped around so much. But in my opinion, if you really did sit there and focus on the story and really did actually try to understand what was happening, you would understand and know when it was jumping back and forth,
Right.
especially when he was eating the lotus flower and then it was showing the scene of like earlier, like,
Right.
like, I don't know. I feel like it was easy for me because I feel like I have that literacy and I know how to interpret
Yeah,
like
yeah,
stuff like
totally.
that too, though. So I don't know. That's why I really liked it because I feel like I haven't seen a movie in a long time where I've really followed along fully with it and like
Right.
actually
Well,
really understood it.
and I think it's totally just like not Interstellar similarly but a little different. But it's one of those films that like you have to see it in theaters. So if you guys take anything away from this that you want to go see it, you have to see it while
Go
it's in
see it in the
theaters
movie theater.
because there's certain movies that just seeing it on a theatrical scale changes everything. Like Ava and I know we always talk about Interstellar, and I feel like we've said this before too, but we felt the same way about Project Hail Mary. Seeing something on your screen at home, on your phone, on your laptop, it will change how you feel about it compared to when you see it on the screen. And what I'll
Hmm.
talk about later is that, like, I don't even feel like we saw it to its full potential because we didn't see it in
In an
IMAX.
IMAX.
And so low key, like I would go see it again in IMAX. Like I think we
I would
should
go see it again. I would go
because
see it again in
I'll talk about
IMAX.
it later, but this film, if you see any film in IMAX, is the one that needs to be seen in IMAX. It's just, oh my gosh. I love IMAX.
I've seen one film in IMAX.
Zootopia 2,
Zootopia 2.
which was a banger.
It was fire.
Okay, so basically if you are like so lost as to what we're talking about and you have literally no idea, if you're kind of like how Ava was before this and you're like, who the who the hell is
Who
Odysseus?
is
Like,
Odysseus?
who is Odysseus? And why does
Who's
he sound like his
Penelope?
name is Badussy? Right. So,
Mhm.
okay, Odysseus is this soldier from Ithaca, and basically it follows like his journey home. So, I'm sure
Well, he's
y'all
the
have
king,
right. But he's a soldier in the war, the
soldier in the
Trojan
war, but
War,
he's
but
the
he was the
king.
king of
He's the
Ithaca.
king.
Yes, so he's the king of Ithaca and he goes to the Trojan War, which like y'all are like the Trojan War. Yeah, y'all know the Trojan War. Y'all know like the Trojan horse, like Mr. Peabody and Sherman, like they wheel the horse into Troy and then they all like all of them jump out and they attack the Spartans. You know, y'all know the story. Like if you don't go watch Mr. Peabody and Sherman, like I get all of my
Like
historical knowledge from Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Talk about like a peak movie, you know what I'm saying?
that movie's gas.
I love that
Ugh,
movie.
banger.
um
Sure thing. Agamemnon.
exactly. So Agamemnon, nope. So
Agan.
Agamemnon, he is the like leader of this army, okay? Basically, it starts like his journey, his battle, he's the one that came up with the idea for the Trojan horse. Obviously, then they brought it in, they killed all of those people, they won the war, and then his journey back home, right? So it's like stops along the way, all these different islands, meeting these different gods, meeting these different monsters, different things like that. And like his essentially 10 years at war and then 10-year journey to get back home because his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus are back at home and there's this thing called Zeus's law. Zeus's law basically says that like you never know who could be a god. Like a god could be disguised as like a beggar. So you're to let anybody in your house and treat them with hospitality, food, and water. So basically, because of
Essentially, treat others the way you want to be treated.
right, so basically because of this, Penelope had to open the castle to all of these potential suitors because they all want her because they all want to be the king. And
Because it's
so,
Anne Hathaway.
well, right, I mean, like, who wouldn't want to be Anne
Who wouldn't
Hathaway?
want it?
Like, be for real. So basically, somebody's trying to step in on Odysseus back home, Robert Pattinson, and his son Telemachus, who's played by none other than Spider-Man, Tom Holland, is like, "Mom, is Dad alive?" Like, because they don't even know if he's alive. They don't have freaking
Because
text
he doesn't
messages.
even know his dad. He doesn't
No,
know his
his
dad.
right, his dad left when he was a
They don't
kid.
have Life 360. They don't know where he's
No,
at.
nothing. And so basically, he's like, "Mom, do not let these men in this house. Do not let these men like take you as a suitor." And Anne Hathaway's like, "I know, like, trust me.
I'm
I
just gonna
only
keep
want
weaving.
Odysseus." So she just keeps weaving. But all of these men are in their house, day in, day out, night, morning, all the time, and they just eat their food and drink their wine. Let's just say I'm glad we ain't got Zeus's law up in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? I was literally blown away by this film. We keep saying that. I like I can't even begin to describe it. It's so cool how I feel like the thing that this whole film really grapples is the one question of like, what if your like defining achievement was your greatest moral failure? Because it really it takes like all of these amazing moments that you think like Odysseus should be proud of. You know, he helped them win the war. He tricked these monsters. Like he does all these things and is continually helping his people and his soldiers, but he can't grapple with the fact of what he did. You know, he's like, I we killed all these people and for what? You know, like what are we
I
doing here?
sent all
Why
my
are we
men
doing this?
into death for
Right.
what?
All of my men that I they believed in me and they trusted me and I knew that they were going to die, you know, and they followed me into this knowing that they were going to die. And so he has this like mental battle this whole film and his conscious really is it comes to him in the form of Athena, played by Zendaya.
And
Rue, when was this? And
this is when Rue was at rehab.
right, so Rue was really tweaking.
Apparently she's dead now, though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Rue's
I haven't
dead.
watched the new season. I
Yes,
haven't watched
Rue's
it.
dead. Did you not know that?
Oh.
Spoiler Euphoria people. Yes, babe, Rue's dead. Oh my gosh, I saw.
When was this?
No, literally. Okay,
I stopped watching.
sorry, back to the
It made me
Odyssey.
mad.
We're really distracted today. Sorry,
Well, Ella
everybody.
told,
You all know one of our favorite things is sound design. Like
oh my God.
the most incredible sound design
So,
literally ever. It was so loud. Like, I don't
so
know if you
loud.
felt that.
So
The movie,
loud.
so warning to everybody, the movie was so loud. The
There are
fight,
flashing like
yes,
beams
the
of light too.
fight
So like
sequences literally felt like it was surrounding you with the experience. Like, I literally just remember at some points literally being like, I feel like I need to cover my ears. Like, did somebody just
I did
turn the
too.
music up? Like, this is insane.
That's how I felt too. I felt like I was so overwhelmed with so many different things. Like all of my senses were going into like overdrive, I feel
Totally.
like, because I'm like holding on to the nasty, theater seat, but like I'm watching a really cool scene, but then it's music so loud and I'm like I don't know,
Yeah.
like it was just so it's just so overwhelming, but
It
in a
just you
good
felt
way.
it in your heart, like in your heart and in your soul, like that kind of sound design and that kind of music that just like hits you deeper in your chest. I could eat it up. It's so good. Also, I don't know if you've seen the videos of the like 4D, like
Yes,
people
I
seeing this in
have.
4D. Is that real?
I don't know. I want to
Because
go.
okay,
I
so
want
if
to
you
go to there.
guys go look up the Odyssey 4D, it's literally people like videos of them being like thrown around in their chairs and stuff like that. I'm like, I thought 4D was like
Soaking
do
water.
you remember when 4D was like scratch and sniff for like the Spy Kids 3 movie or something?
Yes. I remember there was a 4D experience for like a Honey Boo Boo episode.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. So there obviously we've been like giving it its praise and its flowers, which obviously. But if you're not convinced yet to go see it, we're gonna dive into some of our like favorite moments behind the scenes and features within the film and really like get down into the nitty gritty of why this film is perfect and why you should go see it. So, okay, so the first thing is I obviously we talked a little bit about this a second ago about how it was the highest grossing Nolan film in like its opening weekend, but this film came in under budget. Did, like under
No.
budget and ahead of schedule. Which, when we get into the nitty gritty details and you hear all that went into this, you're going to be like, under budget. What was the budget? The budget of the film was $250 million. Dollars. That's a little crazy. In its first weekend, it made $264 million. So it made back its budget and then some in the first weekend. And you know
First
that
weekend.
there's the first weekend to me is for like film people, movie people, people who are like actively keeping up with like what movies are coming out. They go see it on the opening weekend. The second weekend though, that's for people who are like hearing about it from everybody else. Like we saw with Obsession, how literally in its like fourth weekend in the box office, it had beaten out all of the other weekends that it had been in the box
Hmm.
office. So, I mean, I just have a feeling I'm excited to see like what it continues to do. But
Yes.
the fact that it made back its entire budget in its
In the
opening weekend,
first. That's
literally
insane.
insane. And the fact that they were ahead of schedule.
That's crazy, especially for how long it is and how
Right.
much footage
How
they
long?
shot.
And if you go and look into like they filmed in like five or six different countries in the middle of the ocean, like in caves, like they're literally filming all over in castles, and they did all of that. There's times I read something that the castle that they filmed like Ithaca on, there was no access road to, so they literally had to hike up this mountain to this castle every single day with all of their equipment.
That'd be crazy.
Insane. Like you're
That's
in
insane.
full garb, full everything,
Full bit.
and you're
You're
climbing a mountain to a
hiking.
castle. That's
That'd
crazy.
be insane.
That's like my first big thing that I was like, hello, like if you know anything about film budgets, you're like you made it back in the first week is like insane crazy.
Yeah. Um, what I thought was really, really cool was so obviously we know the movie is filmed in IMAX, so it's filmed with the IMAX cameras. And the IMAX camera is huge. It was huge, obviously. And so the film reels in it are obviously like big too. I read somewhere that the film, once they were fully done filming, was over 378 miles long.
Holy crap, 370.
That was before it was cut. Before it was cut.
Oh my gosh, that's insane to
Before it
think
was
of.
cut.
Also, like when you think of like filming on actual film is just I there's just something about it that I love so much. And that like that's literally it's like something I can't even fathom. Like from here to like St. Louis.
Like that,
Like
it's literally insane. So then so they have all that film. They take it to this place in California. It's the only place that still cuts IMAX movies, like from the film reel. And it's one guy, he physically goes through and like, because along the strips of film, there's little numbers on there, and then it shows the negative on there. That's where you're supposed to cut. He has to cut like two frames individually and then splice them together. So if he ever messes up in anything, you just lose that scene. Like you can't refilm, can't do anything like that.
this
So
the amount of pressure on this poor guy.
literally, so
I
they
hope he's being
cut
compensated
it.
well.
Oh yeah. Trust he definitely is. So they finally cut it all and then it goes through the color grading process. So then Christopher will come in like to the building and they'll show different like um filters that they could put on the movie before like they decide it goes through like this whole chemical process of it too, and it wraps it all back up. The final product, once it was fully done, was 600 pounds. 600
Holy
pounds
crap. And the fact that like that is literally like being distributed multiple times across the country for those
across the
IMAX,
country.
like IMAX theaters.
Yeah. And it was cut down. It was cut down from 378 miles long to 11 miles long.
11. I'm sorry. But why does that not seem like that much? Like, why did to me a 3 hour long movie only being 11 miles seems like nothing? But then when you think about it, like 11 miles is like here to Calhoun.
Yeah. Like,
But
can you believe that?
that's
So from the distance of from Clinton to St. Louis, be cut down from Clinton to Calhoun.
that's
Like, can you
crazy.
believe that?
No, that
And
like
that's
is
what
it's
goes into a
actually mind
movie.
blowing. Yeah.
That's what's crazy is so much can be filmed, but so much is taken out
So much
every
is
time
taken out. You
too.
like don't even realize how much they cut. And I've also have always been curious, like how many times they take a specific like a specific clip of something, like this 1 minute scene. How many times are they filming that? And from how many different directions? Or how many cameras do they have it on it? And how do they, if they're continually doing it over and over again, how are they keeping that authenticity the entire time, the emotion the whole time? I've always just been like in such awe when it comes to film like that, is that
Hmm.
actors can can do those things multiple takes and still feel what they felt the first time. Or one thing, this is so random, but in American Psycho, they had William Dafoe. So like if you know anything about that, Patrick, he kills somebody, okay, and William Dafoe is this detective, and they film a bunch of scenes like three different ways where William Dafoe suspects that he's the killer, William Dafoe doesn't think that he's the killer, and William Dafoe has no idea. And then they like spliced all of these together so it kept the audience guessing whether he like does he know he's the killer, does he not know it. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. um Continuing on this lovely IMAX trend, they made brand new IMAX cameras just for Nolan in this film. So like Ava said, these IMAX cameras, they're huge. They have these huge reels, but they're also are like extremely loud. They're big, loud cameras. So it was going to be really difficult in these like tight spaces, small scenes, these dramatic, really quiet scenes for them to hear, and for the actors to be able to focus. So they went, Nolan and his wife, who's actually his producing partner, they went to IMAX and basically said, like, can you create a quieter camera or like a blimp to help muffle the noise of the camera? They created both of them. So they created both the camera and the blimp so that they were able to silence or like quiet, muffle the sound of these cameras in order to successfully film this movie in these tight spots. Which I'm like, of course, like you're Christopher Nolan, of course they would make a brand new IMAX camera for you. Like, and you know what's crazy is like this is probably the first film with that. How many other films like this is probably going to get used for forever and ever and ever. What I also thought was crazy is that because the IMAX cameras can only run at like 3 minutes at a time, it was another huge challenge because every single time they kept having to like pause a scene every 3 minutes. So it was like they literally had to keep cutting and cutting and cutting because that's all that the camera could run. And there's an interview where Tom Holland says that he didn't know that or understand that, and he kept thinking that he was doing bad because Christopher Nolan kept saying cut like every 3 minutes and stopping his scenes. I was like, he's so baby. I love him so much.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I also read somewhere that because it was like so loud. And then once they made the blimp, that made it even bigger. So it was hard for them to even be able to talk to the person next to them if they were filming a scene with them. So they ended up putting like mirrors on the camera so they could see the person that they were supposed to be talking to in that scene.
So basically, what we're saying in these 2 points is that you have to do Christopher Nolan justice and go see this in IMAX. That's what we were talking about. Is like, I don't feel like we saw it. This movie was made for IMAX. If you were seeing it in a normal movie theater, you were not seeing it to its entirety because it was made for IMAX. Like, I've seen photos of the ratio from a normal film to the IMAX film, and you see so much more of what you are meant to see in the movie. And that's what blows my mind. I'm like, every, I think the world could find the budget somewhere for every movie theater to have an IMAX, an IMAX screen. Like, it's literally criminal that the closest one is like an hour and a half away.
I know. I would see it again in IMAX. I would.
Write that down. Okay,
Write
cool.
that up.
So yeah, those are just a couple. I know that we have a couple more that are like our favorite things. Ava, what else did you have that you really liked?
Um, One thing that stood out to me was the it's called Curbidus or whatever. I can't remember how they pronounced it, but it was the whirlpool scene. So when um it's right before they get to Cersei's island or like go and see Cersei, which is the lady that like, the crazy scene,
She,
the craziest
are
scene.
you going to talk about it at all later?
I'm not gonna talk about that.
I'll
You
tell
can
you.
talk
So
about it if you
Cersei,
want.
Cersei is a nymph that can she turns men into animals. So, and she's queen, and I love her. And what she did,
Her scene
valid,
ate. Her
valid
scene
girl.
ate.
Yes.
Her scene was so good, it made me want to throw up, but it
No,
was so
literally,
good.
literally.
Um, so it was right before they get there. Um, Matt Damon's character, Odysseus, he is told that they have to go a certain way, or he's going to be like leading his men into death if they don't go this way towards the whirlpool, if they don't go through the whirlpool. And that whirlpool actually, so the inner part of it is like CG is like from the computers, but the outer part were people on jet skis creating that beginning part of the whirlpool, and they just edited them in like post-production. Like that's crazy. Like they just got people on jet skis to
And
just create a whirlpool.
that's the thing that I love about Nolan. And I know that we'll talk a lot more about this too, is that like there are things that he could have easily just been like, we'll CGI this. We'll CGI a whirlpool. Like, we'll edit it in post production. We'll, God forbid, AI something. Like, he could easily do that. And it would save him so much money, too.
So much money and so much time.
But what this man does instead is he says, no. One, if you know anything about Christopher Nolan, that man hates AI, which me too. He also does not like CGI. He is the king of practical effects. And like have like who is like, "Oh, we need a whirlpool. Let me go get a bunch of like probably professional jet skiers to ski donuts in a circle and create a whirlpool in the ocean." Like
Yeah, that's freaking awesome.
it's literally I'm obsessed. So, continuing on with like practical effects, there's this scene where Odysseus and his men encounter these like man-eating giants, and they're like super strong, and it's like this whole thing. Well, what Christopher Nolan decided to do is he used force perspective to create the giants and to create these shots. So he got the giants, they were 7 foot tall stunt actors, and he got 5 foot tall stunt actors to play the normal people and use perspective to make them look like giants, as opposed to CGIing them to be giants. Like, and I just feel like you can tell when you watch films like that put in the effort to do so many practical effects that it pays off and you feel like you're more connected to the story because everything feels smoother and makes more sense. And it's like one thing that I love about Nolan is to me, I think that there's no practical effect that's like too big for him to tackle. Like he will take on just about anything. Um, and you see that as like a huge trend throughout the movie. What I also thought was super cool is specifically Devin Dalton. She's a female stunt double and was the stunt double for Matt Damon in those scenes. Like,
Hmm.
okay, okay, I see you
Hmm.
women. Like,
She
and
ate that.
check out her arms, though. Dream muscles, like
Freaking insane.
insane. No, she seems like such a cool person, and like they used a lot of stunt women for those scenes. Obviously, like size wise, it made sense, but I just loved it. Like you, I could not tell. I learned that after the film, and you could not tell whatsoever that they were women running around because their
Nope.
muscles huge.
They did a lot of effects like this with the varying perspectives in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Hmm.
Um,
That's where they took
and
inspiration from.
yeah, it was, yeah. So what I found really cool about that exact same like scene and like that fighting sequence right after that, um, they actually built like rotating platforms to go in the ground of those scenes. So the trees would go in like one direction and the people would go in the other. So that's why that scene felt so distorted with like
Wow.
everything moving around and like them being surrounded by the giants like that. That's how they did that was by having rotating platforms on the ground.
It's the little things that
So
you're
cool.
like oh, I like I know that
Like,
we
how do you
literally
come up with that?
right. We
How do you
sound
come up with
crazy
that?
this episode because we are literally just blowing so much smoke up Christopher Nolan's ass. But I'm like, when do you do you audience? I need you guys. Let us know below. Like, please,
Interact.
do you guys feel like this is insane? Like, obviously, Ava and I are movie people, but like, do you understand? Do you grasp the concept of this type of stuff? Like, what they are doing is unheard of. Every little detail is so perfect and so like placed and everything that he's doing. And what blows my mind is like, it'd be one thing if Nolan films were like, sorry, low key, like James Cameron films. Like the Avatar movies are like few and far between because James Cameron puts in similar so much work and authenticity and detail into his films. No, we had what, 3 years ago? Barbenheimer? Oppenheimer literally came out 3 years ago. So I'm sure he's been working on this longer than 3 years. He had to have been. But I'm like, how are you doing all of these films simultaneously, like building these stories upon each other and able to successfully like put in on these huge performances everywhere you go, you know?
And
Insane.
I need him to do a horror movie.
Oh, after seeing all the practical effects in this, I'm like, the world ain't ready. The world is not ready for Christopher Nolan horror. Like, and he said that after Obsession and after Indy's performance in Obsession, it makes him want to do a horror. So I'm like, are we getting a Christopher Nolan horror movie? Like, I would be so down. I also think it would be the grossest, most realistic body horror
Body
film to
horror.
ever
Hmm.
exist.
Yep.
We may not be
Hmm.
ready. Um, so like I said earlier, y'all know how Ava and I love sound design, and one thing I think we love more than sound design is a score. A film's score. mm, I feel like that's how you know you've become like more of a cinephile or just like a weird film person is because when you start really like when you can listen and watch a movie and hear the score, I feel
And
like a
you're
lot
like,
right. Like there was so many times before I really paid attention to that stuff that I would watch a movie and be like, "Oh, there was music playing in the background." Like, it just kind of gets like lost in the sauce. But now I feel like those are things that I pay attention to and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the way that like this deep tone music in this point makes me feel like this and oh, they're the crescendo here I really felt, this energy here. The way that it like morphs your emotions into the film so perfectly insane. Well, the Odyssey lives up to all of Nolan's amazing, amazing, amazing scores as in scores past. Like y'all know we love the Interstellar
love the Interstellar.
down. So the composer of this film was actually our king, our love, Ludwig Göransson, which y'all are like, Wait, that name Loki sounds familiar. Have I heard you guys talk about it before? Uh, yeah, you have. Ludwig is our bestie Brian Coogler's fave human, and he did Sinners this last year. So, y'all, we all know Ludwig all too well. He also did Oppenheimer as well. And he has another film, I can't remember off the top of my head right now, with Nolan too. So Ludwig, he's got some amazing films under his belt. Like he knows what he's doing. And this one was like
What is that melody? So
exactly.
yeah,
No, literally. Like he knows what he's doing. So what I thought was so cool about this one is that Nolan really wanted him to refrain from using like orchestral instruments and wanted him to be as accurate as possible to the time period. So like using Greek instruments. Well, of course, like there are certain instruments that don't exist anymore that he had to like so specifically he had to create the aulos, 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 which is like this two reeded or two-sided flute in a thing. Like,
oh, mm-hmm.
you know what I'm talking
Oh my
about?
God. Barbie and the Diamond Castle. Yes. Barbie and the
Yes.
Diamond
Oh
Castle.
my gosh.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait.
That and then like obviously that like there's no those don't exist anymore. They don't exist in the world. So he literally had to work with historians to recreate this for the film so he could use it for the music. That's insane to me. Similarly, like with a lyre, he had to source out lyres, which are very difficult to find. Hashtag Alpha Chi Omega. Like we wear the lyre badge, you know what I'm saying? But had to use a lyre, which is like this ancient Greek harp. So cool. He also used 35 different bronze gongs of different sizes
That's
and shapes.
crazy.
It was It was so cool. And if you like go listen to the score, like I urge you guys just to go like listen to it. You're gonna hear
The
all of
Siren
these different
song.
things. Oh my gosh, yes. Like the way that he does so well at building such a story from the music alone. Like I feel like that way when I listen to Interstellar is I could just listen to the score front to back and I could still feel and see and picture and like mentalize. Is that a word? Mentalize? I don't even know. The film.
Visualize.
Visualize. That's what I was going for. I can
Mentalize.
like visualize the film, and I feel like this is totally gonna be one that I like go back to it's all so cool. He like didn't even he used things that weren't even instruments too. Like he literally said that he was hitting on like walls and rails and like scrap metal that he found to create all of the sounds that we hear in the score. Like
I just don't like, where do you come up with that? Like, where as a musician do you like find that?
right. I would love to like pick his brain about his process
Yes.
and like what goes through his head, like where he begins. I mean, he's
How do
obviously
you
having
begin?
right. Like what is his cues? What is he thinking of when he creates this? Is it post production of the film? It
Yes.
surely can't be. I mean, they take
Yes.
so long. So I'm like, are you given the scripts and having to go off of the scripts? Are you giving
Given a
like
storyboard,
right? Is Nolan
like,
saying this is the vibe I want for this scene, and you're just like, all right, and
and
you
you're
you
like,
make something, like it's just one of those things that I'm like, I can't even fathom in my head how somebody creates a score for a film.
no, I can't either. Oh, so cool though. I love it.
Yeah.
One of my next favorite parts, this part I think I was anticipating the most, even though I had no idea what any of this movie was really about. I knew that they were gonna have to have some sort of element of like Hades and the underworld and
Hmm.
something like that in the movie. And that there are so many great scenes, but I really think that was my absolute favorite.
Elliot Page.
Elliot Page ate down his
Oh
role.
my gosh! Like talk
That
about
performance,
a supporting character who had two scenes, max 3 minutes total, and said, I'm going to take this and run with it, and I'm going to make sure that these people get what they came for.
literally, I first let's just start out. It's a complete like sandy kind of dirt rocky kind of look to it.
Right.
The stunt people, they had so many stunt people in it because it's supposed to represent like the underworld and like people that are dead and just like it's supposed to represent all the mass like casualties too of the war that they had just
Right.
had.
It's all of the
Um,
all of the soldiers that
all of the
he fought
soldiers.
against and killed Odysseus and all of the ones that were on his side that he
Mhm.
lost to.
Yes. So the way that they could get, so the way they did the scene is they had them do a blood sacrifice, and the dead people had to drink the blood sacrifice to be able to talk to the living person, aka Odysseus, from the hands of Hades, because Hades was like down there at the bottom too. And they have them come up from the ground. So like what you would see like in like zombies,
Right, where
like
they like
coming out of
emerge through the
the
ground.
grave.
Yes.
That's what they were doing in like that scene. And they actually did that.
Hmm.
Christopher Nolan had the stunt people buried in the sand with like a certain amount of sand on them. Each of them had a safety person with them. And as soon as like the first person emerged from the sand, they set timers for how long the people were still in the sand. So they wouldn't have people in the sand for too long. And they had small, tiny snorkels
They're
with
like
them too.
straws.
So they could breathe while they were buried in the freaking sand before they came up for that
Like,
scene.
if shout out stunt people, like I don't know, I don't feel like they get their
Literally.
praise. Mark my words, stunt performances will become
Would
an
be a
Oscar.
Oscar category.
Like
Yes.
there's no, I feel like if it doesn't because of this film, like it just the amount of times that we chalk up actors to their great performances in these films, and I'm like, no, but they're the ones doing the speaking. The actual acting in these, like those are people we
Most of
don't
the
even
time, those
know
are,
their
yeah.
names. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think stunt performing should 100% get more of their flowers for sure, and
Yeah. Ugh.
it should be a category in every single big act, like every single big award show. I think
Because they're really, at the end of the day, the glue of these types of movies. Because
oh yeah,
you're not gonna have Matt Damon flinging around left and right during a
he
certain
costs too
scene.
much.
Yeah, literally, like you're not gonna have that.
Right.
So, I love it. Another person's performance, because we've talked about, the million people that are in this movie. There's so many people that had great performances, even if they had such a small amount of like screen time. This person was in a good majority of the movie, but I had never seen him in anything else, I don't think. Um, Himesh Patel, which is
Mm.
Odysseus's right-hand man, his facial acting and just like reactions to how like Odysseus was acting stood out to me so much. The scene where they're going through the sirens and they all have the wax in their ears except for
Yes.
Odysseus and he's, strapped to the ship. Him watching him and the camera being focused on his face, it's just so
Facial
good. And
acting is so underrated. Like the way that he's able to say so much without saying anything. And
Mhm.
that's one thing that blew me away is like going into this movie. You know Anne Hathaway is going to put on an amazing performance. You know that Robert Pattinson's going to do amazing. You know going into it that Zendaya and Matt Damon and Tom Holland like they're you know that they're going to do great things. Like it's not a secret. But to me, it was all of the like secondary characters, this whole supporting cast, like the absolutely like we said, Elliot Page, yeah, he may not have been in a whole lot, but um he absolutely just destroyed everything that he did. When you had Himesh Patel rocked his world,
Amazing.
John Leguizamo, like the one who plays Emmaus, like he freaking I mean, if he doesn't win supporting actor, I think it's rigged. Like I think he fully deserves it for his role as Emmaus. Like
So good.
it's just truly everybody put their whole freaking Bodosi into this.
But to
I
see,
just
to see, to see Schmussy in
no,
it.
literally. I
And
just
there's still so many things that we haven't talked about either.
so much like we literally hit like grazed the tip of the iceberg, guys. So all this to say, you have to go see it. Like, if we have not convinced you yet, what more do we need to say?
There's just so many people that did such a good job. Like literally the whole cast did so good.
This is
And
one that like
I
will
am
be on my mind for a hot minute.
and I'm gonna say this now. My opinion's probably gonna change, but I really don't see another movie this year beating this out for a lot of awards.
Oh,
This movie
oh,
is going to
100%.
win
Which
so many.
we always say, and then there's that one freaking Macho Man between like this is the Macho Man movie, but like there'll be one in November that we don't see coming. Like I'm locked in for Digger. Did you see that trailer?
Oh, yes.
I'm curious to see how that goes. Like Tom Cruise looks basically unrecognizable in that. But there's a lot of things. Like there's always going to be something. But I mean, like editing, production design, like sound design, score, best picture. I mean, to me, they have all of those in the bag. At in July 22nd of 2027, over halfway through the year, they have it all in the bag, in my opinion. So we're gonna have to be really
And
blown away for something
yeah,
else. I
they'll
like to me,
blow
my
us
top two,
away.
right? My top two this year have been the Odyssey and Project Hail Mary. Like it, and I've seen some great films this year. Loki, feel like I'm giving out like hella 4.5 5 stars this year. I feel so bad.
Me to Sheep Detectives.
I just keep watching really good movies or movies that I think are good. I think I've just like learned I'm not wasting my time on stuff I know is not going to be good. But I'm just like maybe movies are great this year, but this movie felt like it untouchable. Untouchable. Exactly.
Yeah. I really liked Project Hail Mary, but I'm scared it's not gonna get
It's always hard
enough
when a film comes out at the beginning of the
beginning
year.
of the year.
Like I think Sinners is like to me the prime example of like it had the most cultural significance and the like the aura around it and everything like what it needed to be a film that was relevant a year later. I think that's why Challengers did not do so well, which like y'all know that's the hill I'll die on. Challengers should have got snubbed, freaking
Got a
snubbed.
nomination.
At least one nomination. Like it literally got one. It should have gotten more. And that's what baffles me. But it came out in April. And by the time it rolls around to the following January, February when nominations come out and March when the Oscars is, like people are paying attention to what came out. The Marty Supremes that come out in December, the Hamnets that come out in November, the One Battle After Another's that come out in November. Like all of these films that came out within the last third of the
Hmm.
year, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I don't know, guys. We got a lot of opinions, clearly. I don't know if we make sense at all or if we just sound like we're losing our minds. But we ain't got nothing else. We don't want to give anything else away because we think that you guys
Go
need to go
see
see
it
this. Like, if you
and
take anything away from
support the
us,
movie theater.
go see
Go
it.
to
Go
the movie
to your
theater.
nearest movie theater. If you have the opportunity to, go to your
IMAX,
nearest IMAX. Drive a little bit, take a little
make a
trip. It's
trip.
worth it. I know we haven't seen it, but if we're telling you that it's worth it, like please believe us. Ah, it's got to be better than freaking Zootopia 2 on IMAX.
Zootopia 2 is pretty good at IMAX, okay? It's pretty
All
good.
right, everybody. We love you guys. We only have two more episodes with you guys. So please make sure that you like and subscribe. Comment down below if you guys have specific things that you want us to see and review. Make sure that you follow us. We are on Spotify and
Whoop, whoop.
YouTube. Whoop, whoop. So check us out on all of our platforms. Give us a follow on Instagram and our links down below. We love you all so much. Thanks for your continued support. And thanks for listening to us. Yeah. Keep watching what you're watching. Goodbye.